Okay, awesome. Try talking now. Oh, yep, it's sounding good. It's sounding good. Maybe it was that. Maybe it was that. Give me a quick second here. Okay. Yes. 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 Okay. All right. Try talking again. Okay. Yeah, you sound good. Sounding good. I wonder what happened earlier. Was it just because you messed with it? Maybe. Hmm. Gotcha. 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 Okay. Give me a quick second here. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Awesome. Last test here. Give me a minute. Okay, hold on. Give me a second here. Okay, I'm gonna open my stream on a different window. Make sure everything is dandy.
Okay.
So, tell me something while we're waiting. How's I don't know. What do you have planned for today?
I have to go to work, hopefully for the last time this year. Um, I am going to stitch a bunch of images together that are AI generated images. I have to clean them all up because they're all AI generated.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay,
and
cool. Yeah, everything's working out perfectly.
okay,
Awesome. That's good to hear. Okay, cool. It's okay. We had a little bit of a rough start, but it all worked itself out. Okay, awesome. Let
let's
me get
see.
this started one more time. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Let's start from the beginning here. Da-da-da. So yeah, does your boss know that you're potentially gonna quit?
Um, the no, most likely not. Definitely not. Um, and it shouldn't come as a surprise either because they know that they know that it is costly for me to um, proceed to and from work the way that I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it. The amount of money that I lose by going to work,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's like the numbers don't add up.
Oh, I see.
Feels like charity after a certain point.
Gotcha. So yeah, so it's a really good idea then for you to dip from that then, right?
Yeah, I would just go to I would just relegate myself to doing it as a reserve. I have a
Mm-hmm.
security job, which means that I would be on reserves. And if I go to reserves, he would just call me up whenever he would need me, and I would basically answer and respond and say something like, "I can do it. I cannot do it. This is
Mm-hmm.
closer, so I can go, or this is further, so I cannot go."
Yeah, gotcha. Sounds perfect. Okay, awesome. All right, awesome. Let's take it from the top here. All right, awesome. First, let's start from the beginning. We're kind of freestyling here. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. Tell me, what got you inspired to start making your type of content? Obviously, I don't think that anybody looks at. Maybe some people might look at the type of content that you make and be like, "Well, I want to make stuff like that." But is that how you got started? Did someone inspire you to, or is it just something that you were interested in because you liked anime and you wanted to see, different characters interact and such?
I would say it's a convergence of these things. It's a building up of these things. It's like, you know, I don't know, it's 2007, 2006, and there's this thing in the house now, and it's called a fucking computer. Here I go dating myself, and you see this big thing in the fucking living room or whatever. It's in the living room. It's not in somebody's room. It's for everybody to see. So you're not doing any nefarious things with it out in the open. And you weren't imagining what you could do up with a computer other than, well, nothing, because you don't know what a computer is at the age of like 12 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
15, give or take. So you hop
Right.
on the computer and you think it's a big calculator, and you see what you can do with calculations on the fucking computer, and then you
Right.
find out there's a thing called Minesweeper, and
Mm-hmm.
then you find out there's this thing called Microsoft Paint, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm an artist. Let me see if I can translate what I do physically into a digital thing, because I've never seen that before, right?
Right.
Me being a child, I'm not realizing that I have seen it before. It's called a fucking cartoon. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then you try that for a little while, and then you find this little thing called Windows Movie Maker. And then that's when you're saying to yourself as a little kid person, wait a minute, so I can take my little individual images, string them together, and make my own animations.
Right.
And then it's pretty much all uphill from there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's this is during a time where like there was no such thing as Mr. Beast, and you didn't know who PewDiePie was because he came on YouTube the same year
So
you did.
so this idea you had for, and I'm sorry for to interrupt you, but I'm just, I want to make it clear for everybody here. This idea that you got to make, these big anime edits, they just came from your own head. There was nobody that inspired you. Nobody that you looked at and was like, oh hey, I kind of want to be like him. No, you were just like, I want to make my own anime type story.
Nobody comes to mind.
Mhm.
Everything that I've done is an amalgamation of what I do now. I
Mhm.
made the comics. I did all the voices, all that kind of stuff when I was like below. I was a minor still, so
Right. Oh wow. So you've been in this, quote unquote industry for, I guess, pretty much your entire life, right?
if you want to call it an industry, I don't think it really was an industry,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I
It was. It's like a quote unquote industry. I wasn't sure. For lack of a better word.
Mhm.
But yeah, you've been in this for basically your entire life at this point, right?
Half of my life, sure.
Yeah, half of your life after being a teen, I would say.
Yeah, around 15.
Cool. Wow, that's awesome. And how has first off, how would you describe the content you make to someone that you meet someone they like anime? How would you describe your content? How, like, what is a Kurosai video?
It's surreal. It's supposed to make you do a double take. It's supposed to make you feel a
Hmm.
little disturbed, perhaps weird.
Hmm.
Um, Probably going to go over your head because people probably look at the stuff that I produce and think nothing of it, and then once you hear something that actually appeals to you, you start to rewind the video, and then you start to find more things. So you move from turning your brain off to turning it a little on a little bit to detect some of these things that are kind of hidden,
Hmm.
that sort of thing. And that's how I drop it because I kind of plan some of these videos to be like that. It's a layered thing.
That makes sense, right? It's a very something that looks simple at first, but there's always more to dig if you're looking for it, right? Basically.
Right.
Wow, that's
Trying to
very
basically
very
play
cool.
both sides.
Hmm. Yeah, of course. You probably I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but I'm assuming you try to cater to the general audience first, and then hopefully put in details for those who care, right? Am I
Right.
right on that or?
Yeah. There's a script that I ended up revising, and I took almost every single thing out of the script that was like kind of like boring.
Hmm.
And I guess what people might say is like I ratified it, I guess. Um, but the way that I saw it was that this is going to be a YouTube video. It's going on YouTube, and the first 6 seconds of the script is extremely weak. It will not do anything on YouTube. It will be dead in the water,
Right.
and people's lives depend on my success as a producer. So no, this is I'm not
Right.
going to, I'm not going to be overly, proper and prim with how writing is supposed to be done when I know full well that the way that I've been writing for the past fucking 6 years is mostly marginally successful. So let's just do it this way instead. I changed the script up a little bit in the introduction, and I stuffed like 80 references. It feels like within the first 6 seconds of the video,
Hmm. Okay.
in a way that I just never did that before. So it's going to be interesting to see when it plays out.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. So one thing, a big question I have is how would you feel your content has evolved throughout your history of making these kind of videos? Right, you've been doing this for a big part of your life already. Like we said,
Mm.
what are some things that you developed that you learned that are like, wow, I can't believe I ever made videos without this in mind, right? What's something that if you could go back, years to early Kurosai, and be like, hey, this is important things that you should keep in mind as you're making these videos to make them popular and such.
Nothing. Because it doesn't matter what direction you go in creatively, you're always going to be missing something that could have made you better. You just the ceiling is just infinite. Basically, is what it feels like. The amount of stuff you can learn to like feel satisfied or whatever is it pales in comparison to what you could actually learn if you could live forever. Let's say that.
Okay, so basically you're saying that you're happy with your journey. You would not have sped it up in any way, and you think that all these difficulties are part of the job, basically, right? It's
Yeah.
part of what makes it both entertaining and how you pull up a good product.
Yeah, whatever secret you learn, you're gonna learn a set of secrets, and that's it. Because only time will only allow for you to learn so many, you know, tricks.
Right.
But that's just a set of tricks. You're gonna trade it out for another set of tricks, so you can get a little bump ahead or
Hmm.
get held back a little bit. Is either way, you're just moving the needle a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So quick question: when it comes to your videos' popularity, obviously your videos, I want to say recently they've been doing, the ones that you work really hard on usually do really well. But has there ever been like a divide between what you want to make and what gets popular? Like,
All the time.
have you ever looked at your most popular videos and been like, oh wow, I wish instead of those, these other videos would have gotten more popularity? Or do you think that you're just happy that you're getting these views regardless of what you are making?
All the time. It is always like I put out a post and I'm like, this is just a placeholder. It's a holdover. It's filler. And I'm working on something that I actually give a damn about. And I hope that does better, but I know good and well it won't.
Hmm.
Um, so there's that happens pretty much all the time. And the only way to reconcile that is to say to myself, let me just put a little bit of what I want to do in here,
Hmm.
and then hopefully that'll hold me over.
Right. So there is a bit of a divide between what you would want to get big and what ends up actually getting big, right?
Yeah, basically, what
Does
I
that the
mostly
hmm
want is like people to catch what I'm putting down,
hmm
as opposed to like getting big. As long as people can get the expression, then I don't
hmm
care about like the. I want the engagement, not the viewers. If I have to really
mm,
compare the two, the engagement means more because engagement it converts to fans.
hmm
If I had to put it that way,
right.
viewers don't.
Hmm.
Anybody can get views, anybody. But to engage, to have somebody say to you, you know, to have somebody say to you, I went to college because of you. That's a whole different type of beast.
Right. Of course. Yeah, of course. I definitely understand where you're coming from. I would say a lot of people would be happy with just the views, right? Hey, if I get 1 million views, I'm satisfied even if nobody interacts. But no, it really does seem that you are focused on the people behind those views rather than just the number, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right. So you've recently, I want to say that, your modern stuff, the way you've been making your newer videos, it almost feels like an evolution of your content, right? Do you feel that way that your content has gotten significantly better, and or would you say that it's just it's merely that you're adapting to modern times?
It's a combination of everything. The main thing that's happening is that uh, I'm gonna make anime metaphors occasionally because that's what I
Yeah,
can't
no, that's
help but to
perfectly
do.
fine.
But I'm basically like limit testing, or should I say something like that? And I'm going to compare that to I know what my limit is, and I'm pretty much lifting off the limiters bit by bit. Like if
Hmm.
I actually go all out, then I should be able to make virtually every single thing a banker. But I know that if I
Really?
do that, I'm going to die. So I just
Jesus.
don't do that very often because I'm going to die, and I know that I'm going to die because I've seen that happen. I
Hmm.
haven't died yet. Okay, let's just start there. I haven't died yet, but I definitely had, let's say, what is this thing called again? A mental breakdown. There we go. I had that at
Right.
19. And I did that on purpose. I brought that on. I knew that I'm not willing to go out and get what are these things called? Adderall, and what's the cool thing that everybody's doing that isn't Adderall, but it's like better or something like that?
It escapes me. I'm not too sure,
It's
unfortunately.
some sort of focusing drug. It's not fucking I don't know, whatever. The point is that I'm not I'm too pussy for
Okay.
getting prescribed Adderall.
Hmm.
What I will do, however, is go out and get. This is me at 19. What I will do is, and I didn't know anything about Adderall back then, but I just knew that I could get performance enhancing for a
Hmm.
cheap price, and the fucking product was coffee.
Hmm.
So look at the last video I posted. That's my first job actually. So I'm working here at 19, and I'm able to have complete control over the production of fucking coffee
Hmm.
and mocha frappes and things like that. So
Right.
I get on board, get on the little tables to make the coffee stuff and the drinks, and then I say, "This isn't enough. I'm
Hmm.
not just going to just drink coffee and then mocha frappes. I'm actually going to buy 5 hour energy drinks, and
Yeah.
I'm not just going to do that because I also discovered this thing called Red Bull. So now I'm going to do that. So in a single day, I had 900 milligrams of caffeine.
Oh Jesus. I believe the
Um,
recommended intake is like 400, right?
yeah, exactly. It's around
Yeah.
400. So I'm glad I did
Jesus.
that when I was nearing peak male performance, which is around 25, I believe. So
Mm. Okay.
luckily I wasn't, I didn't blow myself up.
Gotcha. So something I'm always curious about when it comes to content creators that you don't have your face in your videos, right? Like Mr. Beast when someone thinks of a video of Mr.
I
Beast,
like this question.
they think of his face. They they imagine him. He is his brand, right? He is a Mr. Beast video. And how do you feel being sort of separated from that? You can't put your face in every video. You're not physically in your video. So how is that an issue for you? Do you wish you could
No,
have something like that, or tell me how you feel
no,
about that concept
it,
in general?
it would never be. It is not that much of an issue because of how old I am. I've been doing this for so long that when people post a video that looks like what I produce, they think I made it. There's a very big video that blew up
Mhm.
when Oshinoko first premiered, and everybody thought I made it. The creator posted it. People thought I made it.
Oh wow,
That's how
I don't think I've
long I've
seen
been
it, but
around. Yeah, and then there's people who send me videos and be like, this shit is funny,"
mhm,
and I'm like, "I made that," and they're like, "Yeah, I figured it was you, but I didn't know for sure."
mhm.
And this has been happening for like 6 years basically,
Yeah.
and I'm at the point now where I'm way bigger than I was back then, so it's just gonna get worse from here. And now I'm
Okay.
on the same thing that Vine was, but times 100 that TikTok, and
Mhm.
I'm just slowly encroaching on TikTok because whenever something, I have three modes to test. They're all different types of modes. One is Twitter, one is YouTube, and one is TikTok.
Mhm.
If I post something and I think it's decent,
Mhm.
there's no way that it bombs on every single platform. There's a
Right.
good chance that it's going to go up and blow up somewhere,
Mhm.
and it's most likely going to either be TikTok or Twitter. YouTube
Yeah.
is very nasty right now. What it does, it takes all of your initial blowing up power and it stretches it out over a longer period of time. Now,
Oh.
that's good for like residual income over a period of time, but if you want like a if you want to go viral, you need to explode.
Yeah.
And because that power helps for you to kind of like, say, okay, this blew up. Let me take a step back and work on something else that's more important to me, that sort of thing. But if it's
Mhm.
like slowly dripping into you bit by bit, you're having like this sort of anxious feeling where you're saying, I don't even know if this is going to stop and be dead
Mhm.
in the water for a couple of days or not. You don't know because people think that the algorithm, something is in the algorithm if they're getting a lot of views constantly, but there's
Mhm.
tiers to the algorithm. And people don't know that most content in YouTube is the lower tier of the algorithm. And it's just kind of like slowly getting views. You're talking about like per week, a
Yeah.
video may get 10, 15,000 plus 1,500 views every
Mhm.
week. But if it's really, really viral, you're talking about, 150,000 views per week. And
Right.
then, it's that sort of thing. It's a sphere thing. I talk about it as a sphere.
Mhm.
And the further you go towards the center of the sphere, the more viral you are. The more further you're on the outside, you're still going viral. You just don't notice it because you're too far on the edges.
Right. Okay, that's very interesting. So well, we're in the algorithm sense, right? You obviously, I'm assuming you would love to make a living off of YouTube, right? Be able to sustain yourself and not have to worry about other stuff like other content creators. But your type of content is just it's a very heavy workload, right? It's stuff that takes days potentially, if not weeks, if not potentially months. Not something that you can bust out regularly, and usually it's shorter content because it is hard work. Do you ever feel like you wish you could make, I guess for lack of a better word, lazier content? Because there's so many creators out there who will upload like an hour long uncut rant and get 1 million views because they've already branded themselves or because they're already known and they don't have to put in that effort anymore. Do you ever feel like you wish you could be that sort of content creator, or are you satisfied with the way you are right now, where your content will blow up and do well, but uh, it's not gonna, even if it does do well because of the nature of your content, it may not give you the most benefits when it comes to earnings and such.
Mhm. So the way I look at it is, um, at any point, if I really, really focused, I could like bring out, 16-year-old me who did not take the same amount of effort into consideration when producing a video.
Mm.
And I know what I was making at 16, and I know what the comments looked like. I don't want to see those comments again. And let me say that first. I don't want to see those comments again because they're all people shitting on me. So that's a, that's unequivocal. This being roasted the entire time. Because I'm making bad videos at 16. Who isn't?
Hmm.
Um, especially in 2000. What was that? 7, 8. Um, if you're on YouTube at 2000 in 2008, you don't know how to make YouTube videos because you don't even know what YouTube is barely. It literally was born in like 2005. Nobody really used it until 2007. So you only have a year's worth of experience of not knowing about anybody.
Hmm.
Um, so the point is that there's modes to like approaching, content creation.
Yep.
My partner with the whole AI stuff, AI anime stuff, he's
Hmm.
saying he's asking my other coworkers who are like what are they doing? They're currently in college. No, one is in college. The girl is in college, and the guy is he graduated recently.
Yeah.
But they actually get to record footage for advertising the product or whatever.
Hmm.
And the girl, she's still in college, so she gets to walk around campus and interview people, to kind of like what you're doing right now.
Okay.
And she had a whole video where she interviewed people and asking how they feel about artificial intelligence in the
Hmm.
art community. And that whole thing relates to this idea of I could do that. I could go outside right now and interview people about, hey, do you remember Uber? What was that like when it came out, and what did that
Yeah.
do to taxi drivers?
Okay.
How did that sort of thing?
Yeah.
It's simple. I've seen all gas no brakes. I've seen all these street interview style stuff. I've been seeing this before TikTok was a big thing. It was on Vine basically. So could I see myself doing that? For sure. And what I would say is, I want to work with people who do that stuff so I can help suggest them on what they can do. So I can kind of like, be like little bro, this is what you should be doing.
Guide them. Yeah.
I'd rather live through somebody else with this sort of idea of what they could do better, because here are some ideas that I don't want to actually play around with too much, because that's not my dog in the race.
Hmm.
But I feel like if I push you, maybe you could do it, and I'll
I see.
continue to do my thing instead.
Gotcha. So you'd rather focus on what you know you do, what you know you can do, rather than potentially expand that, and rather guide others and be like, I like what you're doing. I'll help you, but that's not you, right? You try to,
I'm
uh,
very pragmatic. I
right.
there's just some things that I'm good at, and there's no reason to kind of like break from those things. Now
Hmm.
that's not just being pragmatic. That's just being kind of like it's not stupid.
Hmm.
You just don't try to do things for the most part that you aren't really good at, and unless you want to train it over time. But
Hmm.
if you don't train it over time, you really are wasting your time. You're just trying to pick up a skill that's kind of like a hobby.
Hmm.
Now I learned there early on that now I mean very early on, almost like a hustle before hustle grind culture was a thing, before entertainment came to prominence.
Yep.
I learned very early on that the idea of don't turn a hobby into a profession. It always sounded stupid to me because I had a million hobbies, so that means I
Yeah.
never was going to run out of fun.
Right.
You know, anything can be turned into a hobby. I could fucking make a hobby out of fucking collecting Lego sets if I wanted to. I
Right.
don't care about fucking Legos, but I bet you if I invested time, I would regain my appreciation for Legos all over again. It's all
Hmm.
about a time investment to get a new hobby and then turn it into a profession and then flip it. It's like
Right.
real estate or whatever.
Yeah. No, I definitely see where you're coming from. Turning a hobby into a profession is, it's a double edged sword, because you're, mixing fun with work. uh,
Hmm.
I've had people that enjoy, certain things, and then it becomes a job, and they're like, okay, I don't enjoy this much anymore. So I definitely see where you're coming from with that. So you've been around YouTube for, I want to say, over 10 years. I want to say at this point, right?
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you give me an exact number on that. What is it like? Let me see here.
Um, that channel, the current channel, has been a thing since 2000, I think 13. But I didn't start
2013.
using it for anime stuff until 2017.
Okay,
Um, but
gotcha.
my first video ever uploaded was in 2006.
2006. Gotcha. And as someone that's been around for so long, do you feel the platform has had major changes? There was obviously at one point, animation was a big thing on the platform, and I sort of feel your type of content, you could sort of say it's definitely a form. It's something as intense, I would say, or close to work as animation. Short form
Right.
content that's high effort, high quality, that'll get you views but not watch time. I know that was a big thing, but how would you feel the platform has changed from when you started to now? Is there anything that you were like was better then, or that is better now? Something that was worst? How do you feel about that?
The only
Mhm.
thing that has changed is that it's seen as a tool now as opposed to a toy. It is
Mhm.
mostly considered to be a tool. It's mostly considered to be a job now. Nobody in 2006, 2007, 2008 were saying I want to be a YouTuber.
That's
The
true.
idea of putting on the end of YouTube was not a thing. So you did it back then because you wanted to basically waste time. It's like an Xbox, but instead of X, it's a U box.
Oh,
Um, so you got on because you were like, I want to do this thing that I think is kind of like interesting. Hey, I play Halo. What if people watch me play Halo? And by watch, we don't mean watch you live because the concept of going live is not really a thing right now.
right.
I think Twitch didn't emerge until like 2, 3, 4 years later, and then YouTube immediately copied them. They had their live streaming service around the same year or the year after. But the biggest change for sure is the Mr. Beastification of things. This
Hmm.
is that's the easiest change to we cannot stop talking about what it takes to succeed on YouTube because of him.
Right.
Um, and you could say before that it was kind of like that, but no, he really came in and Elon Musked it.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
and I don't think that's a bad thing because what that means for the first time in history, you can get paid to do anything. That's what he showed.
Right.
He showed that social media is actually the process of being a social merchant. You now have the ability to sell an idea, and not a very good idea, but an idea that you package,
Hmm.
an idea with a specific packaging. We're just kind of like weird little creatures that like shiny things.
Hmm.
And if you can figure out how to make things look shiny and glow up and whatever in the dark, somebody's going to look at you and stare at it for a little while.
Right.
And hopefully something is cool inside of it. So when they unravel the package, they get something else instead of just a little shitty wrapping you put over it.
Right.
That's called drip marketing. But
Right. Yeah. I mean, so sorry. I just want to put in my 2 cents here. You could sort of say that. It's sort of the thing with, yeah, entertainment, basically, right? Stand-up comedians, cartoon makers, etc., etc. It's all about just being entertaining and getting people to look at you, right? That's sort of like what content creation is now, right? Uh, it's just another way of making content that is entertaining and people want to look at, right?
we just turned what we do in person into a technology.
Mhm.
You have friends that come and watch you do things. Well, now it's content. You have the basketball game that is at the recreation center where your parents come and visit. Well, now your parents are online, and I don't mean biological parents. You have a 30-year-old man who likes to watch you play basketball, and a 40-year-old woman who likes to watch you play basketball, and they are not blood related to you, but it's kind of creepy that you're like 17 or whatever, and they watch you actively because they just like your basketball skills. That's a
Mhm.
thing that you can get paid for now.
Right.
It can be wholesome like that. You don't have to actually be like, I'm going to be the best basketball player who is known for like throwing around a bunch of slurs in the court.
Mhm.
And that's my tagline for YouTube content is I'm the most racist basketball player on earth, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna get a following because of that. You don't need a spick or stick or spiel or anything like that.
Right. Of course. So Kurosai, this is you said there was another YouTube channel. Is that anything worth mentioning? Your past YouTube channels, or would you say, you would only really consider this channel relevant to you as a person?
I think the other channels are relevant.
What type of
I think
content did you upload? Was it also anime edits, or was it like was it completely different?
this current channel is the only channel that is anime specific. The other one was gaming, and the other
Oh.
one was live stuff. So I just, as I just said, the basketball stuff. I was into basketball when I was younger,
Hmm.
so I would record. I would actually mesh skits, the idea of skits, up with like basketball stuff. So
Hmm.
there was one video where I made, there was a fight broke out on the court.
Wow,
Um, so there's that, and
that
then
sounds like that would get views. Did I get any views or no?
no way. I
No.
was like, I'm like fucking 15 or 16. I don't know the
Mm,
first thing about cinema.
I see.
So nothing really going on. The only channel that did well without me having to put in too much work was the music channel because I've been around music all my life. My one of my parental figures was a music producer, so I just pretty much paid attention to what he did and I copied
Hmm.
it a little bit. That's one thing I'm proud of a little bit. I don't like the word pride, but one thing I'm kind of proudful of is that I don't. This is me being autistic, I guess. I don't actually like instruction manuals. I prefer to learn things hands on. So I never asked my dad how to make music. I just learned by watching
Right.
and listening.
Okay, cool. And
I
you know,
can't
this
play
this music channel, was it your own music or was it like re-uploads of other music?
No, it
What?
was me. It was actually like you get on FL Studio 11. People here
Hmm.
21, 11. You get on FL Studio 11 and you just throw in the drum kits and
So you
like I
made
said,
music, like actual stuff.
yeah, digital audio workstation. DAW.
That's awesome,
Um,
man.
yeah, people.
Was there any stuff you were proud of, or was it all like, that looking back, you're like, maybe I didn't need to do that?
I I can't. In the best of faith, would say I didn't need to do that. I would say, damn, I wish that could have been better, but I wouldn't say
Mm,
I don't.
gotcha.
I don't have too many regrets, but
Mhm.
especially not artistically speaking.
Yeah.
But so yeah, most of the stuff that I produced back then was original, and then I got into sampling, and then it became less original, and then I got into mashups, and
Mm,
then it became even more less original,
yeah.
and now I do like a fusion of all of it. I'll take four different songs, push them together, add in a couple of snares, call it a day. It's a very I call it a Kanyeesian way of approaching making things because what Kanye West tends to do is they say he's the producer of a project, but really he just came in and said add this snare and he left the room. Kind of like how Akira Toriyama, they throw a script on the he comes in the room, throws a script on the floor and leaves, and you don't see him again for a month.
Right.
That's kind of like how Kanye is with the studio.
Hmm.
He is active when he is active in the studio, but that's how I approach some of the projects. Sometimes it's like, here's this one idea. I'm going to spin off of it a little bit. I'm going to rip it, improvise, but I'm not going to put too much thought into it. I'm not going to sit here and fucking tell you about Kant and Hegel and Frederick Nietzsche and
Hmm.
the good old days of Tezuko and Astro Boy, and then how to sync that back to where we are right now in time, where anime is, where all the content now we see is no longer about the great fight of Japan after World War II, but it's about you know anime titties and how much we love tight bodies and things like that. Whatever. So
Jesus. Yeah.
I'm just gonna pretty much follow my kind of like inkling, and this is actually not really a good recommendation,
Hmm.
but basically if you really care about like making things in art, you should get to a point where your lifestyle allows you to pretty much drop whatever the fuck you're doing and then getting down on your knees and then start writing on a piece of paper like, you know, this is what I want to do. And then about when I get home, I'm going to go do this thing immediately.
Right.
I think I can't talk. That's the compulsive way to approach art. And art actually lends itself very heavily to compulsion. If you can't actually live away when you can't break away from whatever you're doing to go address your autistic desires,
Hmm.
you just can't be very successful because almost
Wow.
all the great movie directors, artists, and etc. They just stop whatever the fuck they're doing if they think
Yeah.
it's like fuck shit, and then they go do the artistic thing because it's like, oh, if I can't do this now, I'm gonna die. I'm
That's
gonna
very
lose.
that's very inspiring, I think. There's so many people that I know that are always like, I want to do this, I want to do that, but they never actually do the thing. They just think about it. They just think about, I want to do this. I have all these ideas, but they never make it a thing, right? It's more of
Mhm.
it stays an idea. And I think, yeah, what you're saying, that, you need to be able to just do it, right, is a very important part of being an artistic person, and being truly being motivated to do something of your hobby rather than it just being, like this casual thing, right?
Um, I'm sorry. Can you say that again? I
No,
dozed off for a bit. Can't
it's
really hear.
fine. Basically, what I was trying to say is that what's important about making a hobby like something bigger is that you actively work on it, right? You get out of just this comfort zone of, I'll do it later, I'll get to it, and I'll eventually put it together, and just need to do stuff, right? That's what's important.
Well, see, the thing about a hobby is that it doesn't feel like you're having to set aside time for it. It feels like it demands that you set aside time for it. You don't have to think too hard about it.
Hmm.
But a profession, when you turn a hobby into a profession, now you are actually you are way more geared towards saying, I am not doing this thing on Thursday because I need to do this for
Right.
my profession now. You're actually
Right.
getting there meticulous with how you spend your time. You're
Mm.
getting meticulous with how you approach your craft or whatever because you say, normally I would just do this because it's fun, but I know I need to do this thing instead because this will yield this new skill set to me. I
Right.
will learn this thing and I know that I'm kind of stupid. So if I don't learn it this way in particular because I want to test this new learning process, this new learning technique, I can attest this because somebody said it was be effective for the type of learning style that I seem to lend myself to.
Right.
There's like different ways to learn things kinesthetically, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
You need to figure out pretty much how you like to sit down and sit still and absorb information.
Right.
Can you do it when you wake up? Are you able to do it better at night? Is it happen that you is your peak of energy in the middle of the day? Figure out these things because once you get all that stuff in order, that's when you can sit down and say, okay, here is the plot of time for me to put time into my skill set acquisition throughout the entire week, and then that adds up to the entire month, and then it adds up to the entire year, and then it
Right.
becomes a lifestyle.
Right. Of course. That makes sense. Okay, so you brought up a very interesting point. When YouTube first came out, it was looked at as this sort of for fun page, right? You would see the memes on here, right? It'd be like, oh, look at those goofy videos. And if someone came on here and started making anime videos, it'd be like, oh, he's just the goofy guy making goofy videos on YouTube. And after a certain point, they started paying, and the pay was good, and all of a sudden, these guys making goofy anime videos started making money off of this, and all of a sudden, there was a switch, and a part of society that's like, okay, YouTube is no longer like this haha funny page. It's a place where people get wealthy, and if your videos are good enough, and you become successful and make money. Did that affect your content in any way? When you started seeing money coming in because of this hobby that you have, did that change your content or your train of thought or anything in any
Money
sort of way?
perverts everything. Money perverts everything. It is a incentive device.
Hmm.
Anything that incentivizes you to go farther than what you would normally do, had you not been incentivized, is going to affect you in some capacity.
Hmm.
So the thing about money is that it's a receipt for time. You go to a store, you purchase something, you get a receipt for your purchase. So you can see time and money is just basically the same sort of thing. So when money is being attached to what you produce, then you get to kind of get into your head that this is how much money I got back from it. So that means this is how much my time is worth. So if you're not getting a lot of money for what you produce, you're going to start thinking to yourself, your time isn't worth that much. Now, if you're a relatively humble person, what they should do is say, "Oh, well, I have to go harder then because this is the amount of money that I'm getting. It means I'm just not good enough." Now that's damning for a lot of people who have like a low self-esteem and who have like an issue of seeing themselves, being productive or being, just putting themselves in order. They
Yeah.
they have a certain lapse in their ability to see themselves in a way that is forthright. They cannot see themselves as somebody who says, "Okay, this is just a slight mishap. I didn't account for certain variables, and that's why I messed up." They don't really want to take, for the most part, a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for things. They just want to pass things off and say it's something else. It's something out of my control. And what that does, when you say to yourself, the variable is out of your control, what you're doing is you're leasing power away from you to something else that is mysterious and uncontrollable. And when you know that's happening, when you're saying to yourself, I don't have any control, well, you can't really be an artist because what an artist, the one thing they have to them, the one thing they have going for them is that they feel a sense of control in what they do because they're trying to express what they think they have control over. So if you say to yourself actively, there's nothing I can do. I feel like I'm not getting anything done. Nothing ever goes my way. You're speaking a lot of evidence to yourself, and you're generating a bunch of receipts of like a negative balance, and you're telling yourself, I don't have my time isn't worth anything.
Hmm.
There's no valuation to anything that I put out, and that's exactly what you'll end up seeing. You'll produce things, or you'll eventually stop producing, and you'll go down to zero, and you'll go back to your 9 to 5 job.
Right.
So the idea in general is that money is a good balancer.
Hmm.
It's supposed to be in the United States, the Federal Reserve. It used to be when the golden standard was the thing that it was directly tied to a set of bricks of gold in the vault of the treasury or whatever. I don't know. And that was a good way of knowing like the value of the dollar bill was actually a thing. It was tangible. It was tied to something literal. And basically, if you can look at what you produce as like, okay, this is an attention thing. People's time is based off of their attention because this is why we say we have to pay attention to things. People's time is precious. So the reason why you aren't getting the amount of money you may want off of your content is because the attention people are paying to basically, when people pay attention to you, they're not giving enough attention to you because whatever you're producing isn't actually worth attending to.
Hmm.
That's what the issue is. You're not actually valuing what they want to see. What they value is something else, and you aren't giving them their full value, because if you did give them their full value, if you did know what they valued entirely, then you'd have them captured.
Hmm.
So I can't sit there and say, damn, people are just stupid. I'm a really good artist, and nobody's giving me my flowers. I deserve so much more praise. I deserve so many more views because I really am great. It's like, who cares?
Right.
Who gives a fuck? Because it's 1 to 1 billion, 1 to 8 billion, and you think that you're the Messiah or something like that? You think that your time will come? No. What about you? You might be dead tomorrow. So how about your time should be now?
Right.
Get yourself taken care of. You have a society to live in. Not to mean, but you have a society to live in, and you need to adhere to it to some degree. I don't understand it. Look anywhere in history and look at points in time where somebody just decided to go completely against the grain of society. It's not really happening. When you look at what Martin Luther King did, he didn't go against the grain. There was already a fucking movement for what Martin Luther King did. He just said, I'm going to be the voice of it.
Right.
That's all. He didn't go against the grain completely. He didn't say, we're going to eat people now. No, nobody's, we're not doing that, buddy. The point is that you can't sit there and complain about you not getting what you think you should get out of your work when your work is just not that impressive. That's all it
Mhm.
comes down to. You're just not that impressive. And if you just stop being so egotistical, you'd see it.
Right. So, I mean, I appreciate all the information you gave me, but I feel like maybe I didn't catch it. But
Okay,
my,
let me
my
wrap it back up then.
my,
I know
my,
what the
my
question was.
yeah, my main question was: do you feel that uh,
Money changes
monetization
things.
changed your content? You specifically, did that affect you in any way when money started being a factor in YouTube?
Yes, it made me better.
It made you better. Okay, cool.
It made me better because it meant that I actually could see it meant that I had to be specific.
Hmm.
And the artists, people think that, oh, artists should be unboundless. Well, do we color inside the outlines or outside the outlines? No, we're bounded. There are rules to art. There is a level of objectivity to art. People would tell you not, but that's because we live in a world where we have both objectivity and subjectivity shifting back and forth, as no, subjectivity is better, no, objectivity is better, constantly. Almost like a sort of quantum superimposition sort of thing. Which
Yeah,
one is more important? It doesn't fucking matter because they seem to be equally important at any point in time, in different points in time, all at the same time, everywhere, blah, blah, blah.
gotcha. Cool. That's very insightful. Thank you for that information. So your content is obviously very anime focused. Uh, do you feel, obviously a lot of people grew up watching anime. I'm assuming, because your content is so focused on it. So did you? Do you feel your relationship with anime changed because of the type of content you made? Do you still enjoy watching anime? Is it still fun for you, or do you see it as part of your job now?
Um, I I think I see life as a job. So
Oh.
I can't blame anything that I do on like this sort of idea that oh, I've turned this into a job. It's such a slugfest now. That's that sort of thing. No, no, no. Life is a slugfest now because I'm older and I
Mhm.
know too much.
Right.
Knowledge is a curse. So it's not about like things aren't fun anymore. It's I'm not fun anymore. That's how you should see things. You're the loser. It's nothing. Things aren't getting worse. You are. And once you just realize that, then you can actually start having fun again because you can stop being a fucking asshole. Because when you were a kid, you were a different type of asshole. You were the asshole who said, I don't care, I'm going to have fun no matter what. And now you're the asshole who says, I don't care, there's no fun no matter what. So go back to that. And that process of going back to that looks like, well, despite the fact that you do know a lot, despite the fact that you know about these sorts of controversies in the background or things happening, your favorite content creators is a this and a that, and you didn't want to know that because now you can't look at the content the same. Well, how were you when you were a kid? If you would have found out that this content creator was this sort of exposed this,
Mhm.
would that have affected you at fucking 12 or
Yeah.
11? No, it wouldn't have. Like, because you would have been like, when's the next Dexter episode coming out? Where's the next Dexter's Lab episode coming out?
Mhm.
I don't know anything about this guy, holding this dungeon of a bunch of girls. I don't know what that means. What is a
Mhm.
dungeon, anyways? All I know is Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm not saying be ignorant. What I am saying is there's a part of you that needs to know how to compartmentalize. And I think people kind of preach against that
Mhm.
compartmentalization. But I would say as an artist, you don't have a choice but to compartmentalize. Um, because one of your biggest objectives as being an artist is to understand the sacrificial way of approaching a life
Hmm.
of artistry. In that sacrificial way, that nature of sacrificing is saying, I am going to go down a pathway that is primarily based on suffering, is primarily predicated on suffering.
Hmm.
Because it doesn't take anything to have a 9 to 5 job. You clock in, you clock out, you get a reward. You just show up. You can stand back against the wall in some of these factories. You're babysitting machines. You're staring at conveyor belts all day. If
So,
you're in a blue collar job, white collar job, you can do whatever you want to do. But when it
well,
comes to art, go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is, I feel terrible interrupting you, but since we're on the subject, it's a very hot topic right now. The whole streaming versus 9 to 5. It's
Hmm.
it's a pretty hot topic on social media, etc. Right now. How do you feel about
It's the
that
new 9 to
topic?
5. It's the new 9 to 5. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know who said it, but he said it. It was probably Mr. Beast. Truman Roosevelt. Um, it is the new 9 to 5 because of the nature of how saturation happens. Once something becomes saturated, we can see it in a way where we can compute it. We can look at it on a graph. We can predict things, and we can come up with models for it. And once all that stuff starts to happen, once we start to develop a science for something,
Mhm.
well, it's a science, and therefore it's now a job all of a sudden because science and jobs are basically the same thing. We cannot have a job of doing something if there's not a system to it.
Mhm.
And because there is a system to it now, people feel it's been perverted. Now that it's not a fun thing, that it's just purely fun, you have to make money from it now and all this other stuff. It seems like when you sit down and watch the streamer that he has a vested interest in keeping your attention and monetizing your viewership.
Mhm.
But the fact of the matter is that your main currency is your attention. Whatever you attend to is going to take from you because you only have so much attention to give away before you die.
Mhm.
So, are you going to pay with your time or pay with your money? Which would you rather give up? You don't actually know that all the time.
Right.
You just don't know that all the time. So it doesn't matter if the streamer has a vested interest in making your life entertaining, that he has shady motives or whatever. The end result is actually still the same. You sit down and you say, "I'm going to have fun with the streamer for 2 hours straight. And I'm going to get up and go jack off somewhere." It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
The issue is when you try to blame the entertainment, blame the technology, and not take any accountability for the fact that you just wasted 5 hours, in a Gooner session when you should have been in there for only maybe an hour.
Mhm.
Is that sort of thing. The new tech is jacking your ability to have a sense of agency. If you just fucking had a schedule and tried to adhere to a certain set of standards, you wouldn't feel like technology and everything in the world around you was against you. So you wouldn't say, "Oh, streamers are this. Oh,
Mhm.
cam girls are this. I wish I had a vagina. If I had a vagina, I'd be on OnlyFans too." Making no. You have a set of variables that are specific to you that you can take control of. If you actually sat down and figure what those things are and double down on it.
Right. So, if I were to, take a hot take out of you, what side would you lean towards? The side of that Twitch is not a real job, it's a joke job, or would you side with the Twitch is harder than your average 9 to 5? If just to fish a hot take out of you, I'm sorry, I might be getting you canceled, but you
It
know.
is harder. It is harder. Why? Because it does not take anything for us to go on the street right now and grab somebody, put them in McDonald's, and they'll be ready to work the same day we put them there. Now,
Mhm.
let's see them succeed like that on YouTube. You'll be dead in a week if you had to live off of that income.
Right. Yeah. No,
Right.
I
Like that's
definitely.
an easy. That's it. Do that. Do that 10, 20, 30 times, and you won't get you one good streamer. I guarantee it. You're gonna get you a crackhead, and that's gonna be fucking viral for about a fucking day, and then he's gonna be dead when he's not getting his $10,000 donation anymore.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, there's a lot of people that get popular off of trends, and then once that trend dies, they go with it, right?
People think people. The reason why people think this is it. This is what it comes down to. Nobody has footage of 8 hours of McDonald's employees, and nobody's watching that, so you don't actually see how simple it is once you get the basics down.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that as the day goes forward, and from week to week goes by, and the year passes, you still got the same fucking job at McDonald's.
Right.
But on Twitch, there's a new McDonald's popping up every day. It's called a different fucking streamer. It's a different fucking game. It's a different fucking conversation. If you aren't interested in these things and you don't know what the fuck is going on, you're gonna get phased the fuck out.
Yeah. I definitely I agree with your point to a large extent. I definitely think being entertaining is much harder than a 9 to 5 because it's like you said, it's a skill that you have to be evolving and such. But at the
And you're
same time,
liable. You're
at,
entirely liable.
right,
You're entirely liable for everything. If I sued McDonald's, I'm not going to be able to fucking destroy Jimmy's life. Guess what Jimmy's going to do? He's going to go fucking walk down the street and get a job at the Subway sitting right next to him. You try that on
right,
Twitch. Try to go to kicking. Try to move from Twitch to kick and see how that works out. It
right.
won't.
Right, but one thing that I would say is that once you've made it right, like if you were at the right place at the right time, let's say you started Twitch early, right, when it was just getting popular, and now you get 3,000 viewers on you sitting
I
there,
have the perfect response for
whatever.
this.
XQC gets a lot of flack because his reaction is just sometimes him just looking at it, with a deadpan look, right? No reaction, no nothing, and he'll get hundreds of dollars. He won't even flinch at it. He'll just be like, "Oh, thanks," right? So I definitely think there is that side to it. What do you think about that perspective where once you've made it, you've already you could kind of just do whatever, and to some
Billionaires,
extent,
just regular billionaires. It's the same for them. It's the
that's
same
fair.
for oil princes. It's the same for trust fund kids.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's once you've
You
made
gonna
it,
complain about them too? Well, yeah, you do actually. Not you, but we know full well that people get on Twitter complaining about people being rich.
true. So
Oh, Elon did this. Elon inherited this. Elon, blah, blah, blah.
yeah, that's a very good point. People hate rich people and people hate streamers who can do stupid things and get views. So now that you put it like that, that actually makes a lot of sense. That's a very good point.
Everything that I say, I'm just repeating myself over and over again. It all ties back to you. You're nobody. It's not the problem. Everything else, basically, that shit is not even real. Like I don't mean to like smoke, my ganja or whatever. I don't do drugs, but what I can do is just read books, and then that gets me high. And when I read these books, they tell me that basically most of what's going on in the world beyond your eyes is largely an illusion. You don't really know what the fuck is going on. So what you can do is know at least that you are, therefore you are. And what that means is whatever you are doing is what actually is mostly important because that's the only thing you virtually have some sort of semblance of knowing is real.
Right.
Virtually speaking, basically. So when you complain about things going on around you, you're fucking schizophrenic. You're losing your mind. Like, what are you doing complaining about the oxygen content if you're not going to do anything about it?
Right.
You're just what do you? It's weird. It's like masturbatory. Oh, I want to complain about the fucking ozone layer being expanding because it's oh wow, let me dye my hair blue and blah 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 blah. Just put the fries in the bag. That's what I have to say about that. And I mean that. Like, put the fries in the bag for as long as you can until you can put some money in the bag.
Right. Okay, so moving topics here for a little bit. Dealing with anime clips on YouTube, right? A big problem. A lot of people. This a big issue why a lot of people decided to stop doing anime content is because of copyright, right?
Hmm.
You're always in danger. A very popular case where Totally Non Mark got his entire channel deleted overnight because someone at Toei physically went on his account and was like just copyrighted everything and shut down his account. Is that a fear that you have? And if so, how do you deal with that? How do you what's your process? What's your experience with copyright as a whole? And what do you think is does it scare you? Or just anything regarding copyright?
The reason why it doesn't scare me is because, well, it does. Let me not be a fucking, hard ass and say it doesn't scare me. The reason why it doesn't like absolutely terrify me is because once the channel goes down, the skill set is still here. You know, the guy who got his content taken down for all the Dragon Ball Z content, he can't go put that in the resume. I can put my editing skills in a resume. I can put my voice acting skills in a resume, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
I got picked up by an artificial intelligence anime startup company. There's many opportunities people came to me and said, "Can you do this thing for me? Because I think
Mhm.
you have some talent here." That's why I don't give a fuck if my shit goes down. I know the music. If I wanted to, I can go back to school, learn music, blah 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 blah. This is what I mean when I say like you got to have multiple dogs in different races because if you just have one thing going for you, you're a piece of shit. Basically, you're come on, man. We had people cutting down trees back in the day and making firewood for the fucking tribes and
But
shit. We
would
just
you be
basically
would you be like heartbroken if that happened to you, or
I've
would?
been hacked. I've been hacked twice
Mhm.
within the same span of a single year by Russians or whatever, Czechoslovakians, I don't know. And both the first time the channel went, the first time I'm a cyborg, so I could detect vibrations on the floor and shit when I'm asleep, apparently. So the first time my phone went off and it kept going off, and I woke up and I realized that somebody was live streaming on my channel advertising Bitcoin. I got onto my computer, started my own stream to throw him off of his stream, and then I found out that he used some sort of red stinger bot for me downloading applications illegally, Vegas is the main thing that I used to download illegally. And
All
it
right.
basically there was a virus attached to that, and then it went into my computer, copied my cookies from my browser, whatever, copied the cookies, pasted them to his computer, and then his computer became my computer, and then he was able to log into my shit, stream, blah blah blah, change stuff, change my YouTube account information, all of it. And the only backdoor that I had was the fact that my account is so old, there are emails attached to it that hackers can't even see.
Mm.
So Google is very powerful in that regard because they can hide stuff in the registry for information. If you're like a low scale hacker who's just like clicking buttons, like a blue color, red fish, blue fish, two fish type hacker, you're
Yep.
not really doing anything. Google can still hide things away for you to get back into your account if you know these pertinent informations or things like that. They can, is this your email from 2000 fucking years ago? And if
Yep.
you say yes or know what the email is, then you're back in it instantly, just like that. So I was able to get back in the
Hmm.
first time. The second time, I was dead like a doorknob. I was asleep the whole time during the hack. So
Hmm.
YouTube came in and said, "Oh wow, he's advertising cryptocurrency. That's illegal," and then it shut the account down entirely.
Oh
I had
Jesus.
to come in, and I had to come in strong because I was like, "Hey, guess what? I'm like autistic. I remember every single video I've ever uploaded, and I can
Hmm.
prove it. And here are the comments. I remember the pinned comment sections. I know who these people are. You know who Long Beach Griffey is? Do you know who this person is? Do you know who you know, Tumat is? I remember the comments. I remember the number of likes for each a big comment that I pinned in the comment section. This is when Tumat commented on this video in 2018 in July. Blah blah blah. They gave me the count back just like that.
Oh, okay,
Um,
cool. Were you scared for
so
any minute or?
definitely, I'm a very anxious person. Like, despite like I think a lot of people see me on Twitter and they think I'm like full of bravado and like self blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm actually very anxious. What charges like the Gustavo is the fact that I know how vulnerable I am, and that vulnerability actually allows me to say, I'm just gonna, who cares? I'm gonna die anyways. Somebody's gonna attack me anyways. Let me
Right.
just say what I have to say and blah blah blah. So yes, I was anxious the entire time because what I what I have going for me is like I flip a switch in my brain and I say I'm not scared. I'm just excited. I'm feeling pressured. I feel alive. So I don't sit there and be like, oh wow, this could be it. This could be my entire life. What I say instead is I can't believe there's a
Right.
Russian that is trying to like fucking take control of my computer. Is my account that valuable where people would do this sort of thing to me? Oh wow, the world is so crazy right now because people are really just stealing people's and that's what's going through my head instead of like, oh, everything's gonna fall, blah blah blah. So
Hmm.
to relate this back to that guy having his account taken down, when I saw that whole story about his account getting taken down because of Toei, I'm like, well, you should have fucked with Toei. I would. I did a Dragon Ball Z live stream when I think it was Goku versus Jiren, the
Jiren.
last fight where he fought with Frieza. 9,000 views at the time, and it was cool. I deleted that stream instantly after it was done.
Right.
I will not trifle with Toei, especially not their biggest property or one of the largest properties, Dragon
Right.
Ball. That's just what you just don't want to do. What do you why do you think 4 Star can't be as strong as they used to be? It's because their main dog in the fucking race was Dragon Ball. So if they were still a thing, then AMV hell would still be a thing. And if both of them were still a thing, people wouldn't keep looking at me and saying, "Oh wow, Kurosai is really keeping that Grand Day or Anime 404 thing alive." No, it'd be a bunch of people doing it, and it wouldn't just be me getting all the credit.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So,
Do you mind moving on to probably the last topic here?
okay.
Okay, so you've like I said, we've been around for a long, long time. What's your opinion on, I guess, connections? Right? Do you think that as a content creator, is it important to make connections with other content creators and such? And what did that play any part in your rise or in your history as a YouTuber, or would you say that it's not all that important? Because nowadays a lot of really big content creators, they kind of shut themselves off. They have like a circle, maybe a few friends, for YouTuber friends, and they'll kind of shut everybody else off. But you seem like a very sociable person. You're very active on Twitter, etc., etc. How would you say that connections and that type of stuff played a part in your career, your YouTube career?
My connections are as basic as me walking down the street and saying, "Hey, what's up? Nice shirt." Like it's that sort of thing. I'm not actually going out of my way and being like, "Wow, let me get you a new pair of shoes, man, because those bitches look scuffy, and I think you need a new pair of shoes."
Mhm.
We should meet up next week for coffee, by the way, because damn, you need some new shoes, man. And then maybe I can learn, meet your wife. I'm not doing things like that. I'm just saying like, "Oh, you like this video of mine? What do you do for a living?" And
Mhm.
that's pretty much it. You come back and talk to me again next week. I'll be like, "Oh, okay, well." What's going on this week? I'm doing that because I'm doing that a million times over. If I
Mhm.
actually sat down and focused on every single person who's ever interacted with me the same way that you would off the street, then it'd be exhausting. You'd be dead. You wouldn't be able to make any content.
Mhm.
My connections are that I will give everybody the time of day.
Mhm.
Everybody, including my most harshest dissenters who type out a paragraph at me and then block me so I can't respond.
Right.
If you just give me a few more seconds, I'd respond. Um, those are my connections. I don't do like the more extreme connections of like, oh, is this guy's really big? I should just talk to him actively because I don't have that type of skeletal structure to my body that allows me to say, let me set aside an hour to talk to this guy, talk to this girl.
Mhm.
Not because I don't want to, but because I'm too busy working. I'm a workaholic. I
Right.
just can't. But that's not to say they aren't valuable to have connections. It's
Yeah.
valuable to have connections in the real world where you have a,
Mhm.
quote unquote real job. Are you going to do better at your McDonald's job if you aren't in a spat fest with your manager? Are you going to have a better relationship with the customers if you're like the best McDonald's worker in the building and you know how to de-escalate situations? So, it's that sort of stuff. So it translates over into the digital world. My only conclusion to say, therefore, is whatever works in real life can work online for the most part. It's like
Mhm.
almost like a 95% relatability thing.
Mhm.
Whatever is happening in real life that works, you can probably translate it over to the online world. And I really do mean translate. So that means it probably can't be the same thing one to one. You have to reformat it so that it works for the online space. So
Mhm.
you have connections in real life that work, and you know that they work to some extent. That looks like your family, that looks like your employees, that's your colleagues, that's your college friends,
Mhm.
past friends, best friends. You have different connections of relationships. See how that works online. And the only reason why you think it would is because you think people don't actually exist online, and that's a problem.
Mhm. Right. Okay. Gotcha. So obviously, a lot of big YouTubers, once they start, getting, relatively big, they start doing a lot of collaborations and, et cetera, et cetera. Have
Mhm.
you ever done something like that with a big YouTuber? Because I know, your content, I would say it's hard to do that kind of stuff. You're not someone that's easy, that's like, oh, featuring whoever, right, in one of your videos, because it doesn't, your content doesn't lend itself well to that, that type
Right.
of stuff. So I would imagine it's really hard for you to do the type of content, but I would figure, regardless, just to be thorough, have you ever done any sort of, collab that you're like, oh, that was a big part of my career or something like that, or not really?
I am basically collaborating probably more than anyone in my space. Um, because of the simple fact that I am working with people who make similar videos, and sometimes I say, "Can you just do this part?"
Oh,
And that's like it's simple things like that. At the more
yeah.
complicated level,
Unfortunately, those are really
um,
hard to advertise. It's not as big of a deal to be like, oh, XX edited this 3 second clip or anything, right?
you
It's not a big
if
clickbaity
I do the
thing,
bulk of the video, it goes on my thing. If you do the bulk of the video, it goes on your thing.
right?
That's how you would handle that. But
Yeah.
to answer the other bigger question, I've sat down and worked with well, I'll put it this way. I didn't need to say work. I've sat down and prepared a project with Two Matt when he was 16.
Mhm.
And this is when he was lying about being um 18. Because what is it? You had to have, I think you had to be 18 to be in the partner program. So he lied about that. He was like a year or two younger. And we set up a whole Google Drive and all these different files and stuff. We were going to use it for the video. It was some Overwatch thing.
Okay.
Um, and I met Two Matt when he was 16, and he liked the Vine videos.
Mhm.
And Vine is like the predecessor to TikTok. And he
Right.
would ask me questions like, "How do you do this? How do you do that?" And I'm like, "These are basic editing things. Why doesn't he know these things? His editing is actually pretty incredible. So I
Right.
don't know why he wouldn't know some of these techniques."
Mhm.
So eventually, he wanted to work with me. This is during the era when people started to pull their community from YouTube onto Discord, and I'm gonna kind of like rub my nose a little bit and act pompous here and say that I think I was one of the first people to implement monetizing roles in Discord so that you can like get paid by people getting special roles on the server.
Mhm.
And he basically he was in the server at the time. He copied that entire infrastructure, and then I
Wow.
saw him do it. The Cooters did it. A bunch of people did it, and then it just went down from hill from there.
Mhm.
But that's to say that once again, I just mentioned one of the people that I collab with, the Cooters. Um, but that's a weaker collab, meaning we didn't come together to say, here are the lines, here's the synopsis of the story, blah blah blah. No, me and Tumat actually sat down and came up with assets to put into the videos, and it was some big Google job. He was dead serious about it in a way that I didn't think he would be.
Yeah.
But he was very autistic back then. He was before he died. So um, that was that. And then I think some people who you probably won't know, but they're majorly in the anime space. The Christmas video that I made 2 years ago,
Hmm.
a year ago, 2013, that was largely a video that would not have been possible if it weren't for him because he just kept adding things, and I'm like, can you stop? Christmas is like around the corner. You're insane.
Yeah.
And the only reason why he kept adding things is because he wasn't used to like the YouTuber brain that says we had deadlines to meet because yeah, cool, Christmas is cool, and I want to make a Christmas video, but what about the next video, and the next video, and the next
Right.
video? And a lot of YouTubers don't have that next video, and the next video mentality. They just think, wow, I feel great. I'm horny. I want to make a video. And then they go to sleep for after that.
Hmm.
But I'm like, I'm planning ahead several steps ahead to the point where, like I said, my end goal is philanthropy. I want to knock, a 72-year-old Elon Musk out. I want to slap him in the face when he's 70 and I'm fucking 50 or whatever. And I want to say, I did it.
Right.
I did everything you tried to do with X, but better.
Right. Okay, so you have a lot of fans, right? I'd say that goes without saying because your content regularly does very well on multiple platforms. If someone was looking to do what you do, what advice would what's some general good starting advice you would give them? Just at a basic level that as someone who is not familiar with how you make your content. What's an advice or a piece of advice that you would give them that like this is how you get started and this is the type of mindset or anything if they wanted to follow in your footsteps of the content you make.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Easy. That's the easiest advice to give. It is the most simplistic advice. Don't do it because you're interested in it and you didn't come from the era that caused it to happen. That's like saying, how do I figure out how to fucking make stone wheels? Who's doing that today? If you weren't there during the era when it was cool to do it, you're not going to feel the vibe of why you would even do it. Because once you sit down and actually do it, you're going to realize that it's way more than what you're willing to handle. Way more.
Hmm.
So my advice is go do animation instead. Go learn how to draw. Edit for another YouTuber.
Right.
Edit videos for your gaming and stuff. Do
Hmm.
not make content similar to mine because it's probably going to be nowhere near as good and that's going to upset you drastically. Because guess what? You're 20 years old probably and you're going to look at every other person who's making the same content that I do, who's also fucking in the same age range as me, and they're massively better than you. And guess what? You're an envious son of a bitch. You're going to look at everything that people drop on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, and you're just going to sit there and be, oh, wow, I'm so bad. And you're going to feel like shit.
Right. Fair. Hey, I get it. Probably a bit more pessimistic than what I was fishing for, but if that's how you feel about him, and that's how you feel about it, you know what I mean? I definitely.
The only thing I could say to like as a statement is like if you do decide to do it,
Mhm.
it's still going to be pessimistic. What I'm saying is that now you have to figure out how to use AI to incorporate into your technology because guess what? AI is everywhere, and you're not. I guarantee you, I'm still being pessimistic. You're not going to decide to not use artificial intelligence to help you get your editing out there
Mhm.
when it's the only tool really massively available to you. You're not going to sit here and pull out Sony fucking Vegas to be just like me when you know full well that you won't, guess what? Quit your full time job to sit there and learn all the techniques required for you to spend an exuberant amount of time
Mhm.
just to do what people will do on After Effects for in a few clicks. That is all algorithmically driven. You're trying to compete with basically literal androids and robots and cyborgs as an old man, basically. And you think you're gonna have fun? Okay, dude.
No, that's fair. Hey, I get it. It's I look at as someone that casually makes content as a side hobby. At least really casual. I look at your stuff and I'm like, wow, I would hate to be making that kind of stuff regularly because it sounds like torture. I remember you were once looking for people to work with, and you said, I'm looking to have a system sort of like Mapple, which is known for its excruciating work hours and ethics. And you were like, I'm trying to do that, but for YouTube. And I'm like, wow, that's it's a little bit crazy. But
The
hey,
difference is that what I was
Mhm.
trying to say, what I was depicting, because I'm pretty sure I said this, but if I didn't, let me say it now. Steam, Valve, a flat structure. Nobody gets paid at Mappa. People would get paid working with the system that I have designed because the incentive would be everybody is funneling money into all these projects We're working on each other's projects. Nobody at Mappa gets to say, "Hey, I have an idea for an anime. Who wants to work on it?" No, it's this one guy who says, "We're gonna do fucking Chainsaw Man, and if you guys don't want to do it, I'm gonna have to fucking take your wife away." So what's the deal?
Hmm.
So that's the
Right.
difference. But yeah, it's like you're looking for people who actually have the bones in their body to stand the fucking pressure that's getting ready to happen when you undertake these large behemoth projects. If you aren't built like that, therefore, you need to go somewhere else.
Right. Fair. So, your content, I say that it's great. I love your content. Do you see yourself making this type of content 5 years out from today still? Or is there some other way you would like to drive your channel? And I'm talking specifically about your YouTube channel here. Is this the direction it's going to be steering towards, just kind of perfecting this craft, or is there somewhere else you would like to take it?
Um, I think because of what I have yet to do, I think I largely have perfected it, and the only thing that is left to do is to incorporate new technology. But the philosophy is there, so everything about how good a video can be is a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. Meaning, like, give me these amount of hours or money, and then whatever you think I can do, I will do it. Just like that. That's all it comes down to. Um,
So do you still see yourself making the same type of content 5 years out from today?
no, no. I am partnered with a company that wants me to get into AI anime. So one of my biggest endeavors, which was
Hmm.
always my biggest endeavor, is to make an anime. But the future
Oh,
is coming. The future is coming, and the future says AI technology is going to be everywhere,
yeah.
and you'd be a fool not to get ready for it.
Hmm.
So, what my 10-year plan is now turned into a 5-year plan. I already said that if I don't get to a million subs, like in by the time 2026 comes around, this is going to be relegated to a part-time thing, and I'm going to go work for somebody else.
Oh.
That's all. That happened basically just yesterday.
Hmm.
I'm Once I get rid of my part-time job as a security guard, like probably in the next 2 days,
Hmm.
I'm going to go harder for this AI startup company, and I'm going to start sidelining my content on my channel because it's not moving in the direction that I needed to, in the fashion that I needed to. TikTok is easier. Um, so what I'm going to start experimenting on is how far I can bring down the level of quality and still getting the biggest bang for my buck. And then I'll just fucking move everything over from YouTube to TikTok because TikTok is massively much more um, welcoming to new things, and the world is basically always new. It's new things are coming out all the time, and
Yeah.
old things are dying. So I'm going to chase after the new stuff, and I'm going to leave the old stuff behind in the past. That includes YouTube because YouTube, Twitter, all the people who are pretty much like, don't allow this to happen, blah blah blah. This conservative mentality,
Hmm.
I just can't get with it anymore. And I never could. I'm not that type of person. I'm an artist, and by nature, that imposes that I cannot be the sort of conservative minded person that the conservative type people tend to be.
Hmm.
So no, I
Gotcha.
can't keep doing this for the next 5 years because it is insane to keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting new results, and then
Hmm.
not actually giving those results.
Gotcha. Hey, that's wise words. I say that's definitely a good tip for I would say anything in your life, right?
Mhm.
You gotta keep evolving, keep changing, unless you're already in the in the path you're looking for. But yeah, hey, I think that's a perfect question to end it all off on for this interview. Any last words you wanna say?
Sure. Somebody in that chat a while ago asked about the copyright. I can say that basically what you need to do is you need to get really good at clipping things. Stop letting things run past 6 seconds. Anime is 20 minutes long. Don't just slap a 1 minute clip onto YouTube. Cut it up into parts, split it up, rearrange the dialogue, zoom in here, zoom in there, add in your own voice. Basically, what it's called is transformative art. It's derivative art. Copyright laws have a hard time getting involved with things that are considered to be transformative. This is why it's hard to get AI under control because AI inherently is derivative. Unless you're getting AI to spit out the same exact thing that is already copyright in nature, like whatever is in the bot and it spits out the same exact thing, you're basically making something new all the time. It doesn't matter if it took a bunch of soil from a farmer and then made fucking gold. You can't say that's my gold as a farmer. No, it's actually not.
Mhm.
The dirt was yours, but the thing that spat out isn't. So,
Right.
anyways, the point is, um, transform stuff. Stop like clipping stuff unless you want to be those weird people who just put their little floating head on top of content and say, "Hey, this thing is really funny. Oh, this part is good." You see that, chat? I don't know, chat. Is that real? Unless you want to be that kind of guy, like
Yeah.
put some spit on it. Put your pizzazz on it, and put a lot on it. Put bedazzle the fuck out of it.
Right. I feel called out, by the way, but
It is what it is.
all
But
right. Mhm.
yeah, that's pretty much it. What about you?
Awesome. Hey, no, I'm good, man. That was a great recording. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording there, then. Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Kurosai. I really appreciate it.
I got you, buddy.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the stream there. If anybody's, I think there's like 3 people here. I might stream a game later, but I'm gonna stop the stream for now. I'm probably gonna talk with Kurosai for a little bit. So yeah, I'll see you.